Hey everyone, Erick Stakelbeck here. Today on the Newscast, breaking news. Another incredible archaeological discovery in Jerusalem from a critical period in biblical history. Get all the details coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. We've got some breaking news for you today, all the way from Jerusalem. Yet another incredible archaeological discovery at the city of David. You'll get all the details in a minute. Before we get into it, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube. Click that notification button so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Remember, we've got the Newscast right here every Tuesday and Thursday. Plus, we've got our Watchman TV show, our 30-minute weekly show, which you can see Thursday nights on TBN and Sundays on the Fox Business Network. That's if you live here in the United States of America. If you don't, you can catch the clips right here on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. The city of David, ancient Jerusalem, is one of my favorite places in all of Jerusalem, and that is saying something. And Zev Ornstein, without a doubt, is one of my favorite people. He's the director of international affairs for the city of David. You see him frequently here, right here on the Newscast. You see him also on our Watchman TV show. And Zev is bringing us, and the team at the city of David is bringing us on a frequent basis, it seems like every other week, some groundbreaking new archaeological discovery that proves the truth of the Bible. We've got a very special one here for you today that's from a period that there had not been a whole lot of archaeological evidence from. I'm not going to say another word. I'm going to hold you in suspense. Let's go right now to Zev Ornstein and find out more about this amazing new archaeological discovery in Jerusalem. Take a look. Well, Zev, thanks so much for joining us here on The Watchman. It is always great to have you.
Always great to be with you, Eric.
Yeah, and you've always got a great archaeological find or discovery from the city of David in Jerusalem to share with us. Now, today is breaking. I mean, this discovery was just announced, number one. And number two, Zev, it's from a period, a very crucial period in biblical history that we don't hear much about in an archaeological sense, the period when the Jewish people returned from the Babylonian exile back to Jerusalem under the Persian Empire. Tell us about this discovery and what it says about that crucial period. Hey, that's a period of Ezra and Nehemiah from the Bible.
Absolutely right. Now, Eric, I have to be honest with you. The way the archaeological discoveries are released from the city of David, the place where Jerusalem began, we have a very simple formula. We wait until the Watchman reaches out to us, and then we're like, all right, what do we have to pull out of these storehouses that we're going to release to the world? So if you want any more discoveries released, you just got to be in touch more, and we'll get more stuff put out there.
I will hold you.
So in all seriousness, what do we have? Archaeologists, when it comes to the story of the return to Zion, you have the Babylonian destruction in 586 BCE, the destruction of the Temple of Solomon, the exile of the Jewish people from Jerusalem to Babylon. They're exiled for, the Bible tells us, 70 years. And then there's the period of the return to Zion under the leadership of Zerubbabel and others. And they come back, and really Jerusalem is in a sorry state. And it goes on like that for a number of years until the time of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the cupbearer to the king of Persia. Now, you might say, the cupbearer, what's the big deal about that? It's just the guy who brings the king his wine. But in ancient times, the cupbearer was not just the person who brought the wine. The cupbearer was the official that the king trusted most in the whole kingdom. Why? Because this was the person who would be responsible for giving the king his glass of wine. If there was ever a plot that someone had against the king, it was up to the cupbearer to know about it. So Nehemiah has a very important role. He learns about the destruction of Jerusalem and the sorry state of Jerusalem that's taking place from one of the residents of Jerusalem, who goes all the way out to Persia to inform Nehemiah about the situation. Nehemiah asks permission of the king to go to Jerusalem, and it describes in the beginning of the book of Nehemiah really the dilapidated state of Jerusalem, how foxes were running through the buildings, and really there was no one living there. And of course, the Jerusalem in the time of Nehemiah is not the old city of Jerusalem. We're talking about the city of David. But from an archaeological perspective, there was very little evidence of the return to Zion of that time, of the Persian influence of Jerusalem, the administrative influence in Jerusalem at that time, until a discovery that was announced literally just this week.
Breaking news.
Breaking news for the Watchman, where two seals found in a building dating back to the period of the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem, but which had been re-inhabited during the Persian period. Two seals, Persian period seals, which show the administrative influence of Persia in Jerusalem, confirming the biblical account, of course, of Nehemiah being the governor sent on behalf of Persia to rule Jerusalem. And of course, it says in the book of Nehemiah that in 52 days, Nehemiah rebuilds the walls around Jerusalem. So these seals are going back to the very, very early period of that return to Zion, of the beginning of the rebuilding of Jerusalem. It's not Herod's Jerusalem with all its glory from 2,000 years ago. This is something of small beginnings that would lead to something great down the road. But it's really, up until this discovery, this period, the period of the return to Zion, the period of Nehemiah, was what archaeologists refer to as a black hole. And that is beginning to be filled in the city of David.
Yeah, Zev, it's really amazing. You and I have talked a lot about the Babylonian period and the Second Temple period, as you said, meaning Herod's temple. But this is kind of, like you said, this was a black hole archaeologically, but not anymore. Big finding. And hey, Cyrus, the Persian emperor at the time, the Persian king, issued a decree to send the Jewish people back to Zion, a pivotal event in the Bible. So to see evidence of that come to light, I think is really stunning, right?
What's amazing about that, if you take the Cyrus cylinder, that is in the British Museum in London. You have part of the walls that Nehemiah rebuilds around the city of David, the place where Jerusalem began. We have that. There is references to, if any of your watchers, any of the viewers are experts in the story of Nehemiah, two of the let's call it bad guys in that story who wanted to prevent the rebuilding of Jerusalem, Sanballat and Tobiah. We have our archaeological documentation of their existence. So it's amazing. Nehemiah is known for rebuilding Jerusalem. We've discovered part of his wall. The declaration allowing the Jewish people to return to Zion. We have the Cyrus cylinder in the British Museum in London. We have these seals now discovered in the city of David, affirming the Persian rule of Jerusalem during the time of Nehemiah. And you put all of this together, and it comes back to something that I've said many a time, really two things. One is that when you're in the place where the Bible happened, the words of the Bible come to life. And at the same time, there are still those out there who are denying our shared heritage in Jerusalem, the biblical heritage of Jerusalem. And as we see from these discoveries and so many others, that our shared connection to Jerusalem is not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact.
Yeah, irrefutable archaeological evidence combined with the truth of the Bible, Zev, is an unbeatable combination. Hey, right. Thanks so much for sharing this with us. It's exciting. I can't wait to get back to Jerusalem, back to the city of David soon, God willing, and see it up close. Hey, last question. I think the place where these finds emanated from, the Givati parking lot excavation. Now, people might say, that's a weird name, a parking lot. What do you mean? Before you go, could you tell us real quick what that Givati parking lot excavation is at the city of David and kind of the background and how it came to be maybe the most exciting spot in all of Jerusalem in terms of archaeology today?
That's right. Now, before I answer your question, I'm gonna do a favor for you because you're my friend. I'm going to give a 30-second answer right now, but if you want to see all of the incredible discoveries from the Givati parking lot excavation, I think about 2 years ago, the Watchman had a full episode on the Givati parking lot excavation in the city of David. So I would recommend go check out that episode of the Watchman. But in short, the Givati parking lot excavation used to be a parking lot up until about a little more than a decade ago. We wanted to build our visitor center there in the city of David. And the Israel Antiquities Authority said, well, hold on, before you build anything, we need to make sure there's nothing significant from an archaeological perspective beneath the parking lot. So they come with ground penetrating radar and they scan and they come back to us and say, there are more than 10 layers of ancient Jerusalem civilization located beneath the parking lot. So today it's no longer a parking lot and our visitor center isn't there either. In fact, it's actually the location of one of the largest active excavations in Jerusalem today, where we've uncovered more than 10 layers of ancient Jerusalem civilization, going all the way back to the First Temple period, through the Second Temple period and onward. And it's really an amazing place with so many incredible finds. I'll just say, aside from these finds here, attesting to the story of the biblical Nehemiah, there are so many others. Go check out that Watchman episode on the Givati parking lot excavation, and you'll really be amazed and blown away at what we found.
Hey, Zev, thank you, my friend, for guiding people to it. It was a fun episode. Like you said, I was blown away. Just the breadth, of 10 centuries. I mean, century upon, not of 10, but century upon century of archaeological finds in this one spot where there used to be a parking lot right above it. Unbelievable, Zev. Hey, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. We know you will be back soon because it seems every other week that there's some groundbreaking new archaeological discovery at the city of David where you do such great work. So, Zev, thank you, my friend. We will see you again soon.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks again to Zev. And folks, I cannot wait to get back to Jerusalem and see these discoveries up close. By the way, that episode of The Watchman that Zev mentioned that we did at this Givati parking lot excavation back in 2017, hard to believe, it's episode number 50 of the Watchman TV show right here on YouTube on our news channel. Just go to full episodes, scroll down, it's in the archives, episode number 50, if you want to get a closer look at this Givati parking lot excavation. It's the largest excavation in all of Jerusalem right now, and man, oh man, they are just bringing home some amazing discoveries from what used to be a parking lot. Can you imagine that? There was cars above this treasure trove of thousands of years of archaeology, biblical archaeology, of history, the history of Jerusalem. Pretty amazing. Hey, I mentioned at the top of the show that The Watchman is now on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Incredible time slot on TBN. Be sure to check that out. Also, the Fox Business Network every Sunday. So good things happening. Hey, be encouraged. You know, Jesus said that everything that has been in the dark will be brought to light. Anything that's hidden will be brought to light. That's exactly what is happening right now with these archaeological discoveries. They are coming at such a rapid rate, it's hard to keep up, but it's exciting because God is moving now for such a time as this. Folks, he could have revealed these discoveries 50 years ago. He's choosing to do it now at a greater and greater frequency, and in particular in his city, Jerusalem. It's a perilous time right now to be alive, but it's an exciting time to be alive because we know God Almighty sits on the throne and he will never leave us or forsake us. Lots of great stuff coming up next week here on the Newscast. I will actually be on vacation next week, but the Middle East never sleeps. The Middle East does not go on vacation, so I will still do my very best to bring you a brand new newscast next Tuesday and Thursday. So stay tuned, location to be determined. But until then, thanks for watching today. God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.